Welcome back to the Firebrand show.
Yes.
We have missed you. It's been a long week without you, but we're excited to get into this week's topic, which is
the fun, exciting, intriguing topic of sex.
That's right. We are talking about sexual purity today. So grab a pen,
Yes.
grab something to take notes, grab your Bible, and let's get into this. All right, we are going to get right into today's topic, which is about sexual purity. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what it is,
Yes.
why it's important, and different things within that. So let's just dive in, shall we?
Let's just dive on
What
in.
joke do you have for us today?
Listen.
Let's break the ice.
I can't just give them on demand. They're going to have to come naturally
As we go.
as we go.
All right, well,
So
we're just going to dive right in.
hold on to the seat of your pants.
All right.
Is that a saying?
I don't know.
Fly by
Seat
the
of
seat of
your
your pants.
That sounds weird.
Buckle up.
I don't know. I feel like now we're just putting off the avoidable. Let's talk about sex. Baby, let's talk about you. If you know that song, you know that song. If you don't,
But you don't.
go look it up.
You don't need to.
You don't need to look it up. Anyway,
Yes.
let's talk about sex. Let's get into this.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we both grew up in what I would say was a pretty shame-filled sexual culture, sexual purity culture. Like there was shame. There was like a lot of like you had your convictions, but then there was a lot of shame around it too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I'm being honest, I was the youth leader. Like I graduated from youth and I became a youth leader and I had this bright pink shirt that said virginity rocks on the front.
Yep.
And the back it said I'm loving my husband and I haven't even met him yet. And anyone from my home church
That's it right there.
knows that I had that shirt. And it's so funny because I was talking to a woman from my home church back in Ohio recently, and she was like, I remember you wearing that shirt all the time. And it's just so funny because that's just like, I was known for that. I stood by my sexual purity, you know,
Yeah.
I had my convictions. It doesn't mean that I wasn't, I dated a lot of guys, you know, so it doesn't mean that I was necessarily pure in every way, but I tried to hold my sexual purity. And so, but we grew up in a culture that, I mean, I grew up in the church, which like they tell you all about sexual purity.
Yeah.
But then there's like the shame stuff that comes with it as well. And I don't think that that's the church's fault necessarily. I don't think that's anyone's fault. That's just how we feel. We're humans. We feel shame around something we shouldn't do. But yeah.
A lot of times, not even just like within the church, like sex ed in schools.
Yeah, true.
They teach all about the negative things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they tell you it's almost like the idea that you want what you can't have. And so the idea that, you know, people tell you why you can't have it, but they don't tell you the benefits of why you should wait.
Yeah, that's really good.
And so the idea just sits in your mind like, oh, I can't have it? Yeah, I want it then.
Yeah.
I want to experience that.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
Yeah,
I
like
think
they neglect sharing why
Exactly.
it's important to wait, what it actually
which is where I think that us and the church can do a better job of talking about it and leading people through those feelings and what it looks like to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the benefits of sexual purity.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe we'll touch on those in this episode, or maybe that's a future episode. But
We'll see.
yeah, so let's talk about sexual purity for a second, because I think when we think of sexual purity, we just think of like the physical act of sex, not sex. Having sex or not having sex. That is sexual purity. But it goes so much further than that. And so let's just kick off with the
Before we
scripture.
dive right into that, I mean, just take it one big step backwards and just look at, for a second, the idea of purity.
Yeah.
You know, purity is the absence of imperfections. A lot of times, purity, the translation is similar to the word perfect. And, you know, obviously we know that we cannot be perfect.
Yeah.
So there's no way for us, and we know that we're not going to be fully pure because we're humans and we sin.
Yeah.
But we are called to be like the one who was perfect, which was Jesus. And he gave the perfect example of what perfection and purity meant. And so purity, it encompasses a few different things, you know, purity within your heart, your mind, your body. And so, but today we're specifically focusing on the sexual side of it and what it means to keep yourself pure physically
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have a scripture you want to read.
Do. Yeah. It's that was really good context because we had an episode about purity, like what does purity mean to me?
Yes.
In season 1, and I think taking it deeper with the different facets of purity, like we are called to live a pure life, and this is one of the areas. And so, Colossians 3, verse 5, it says, "So put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. Have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, and evil desires." And there's more to verse 5, but that's what we kind of want to focus on, right? So it says, put to death your sinful earthly things. And it's exactly what we've been talking about, where like you want what you can't have. And if you don't understand the benefits of not having it until you're ready for it, you don't know. And so you're going to look at this and go, well, yeah, it's my earthly desire. Okay, it's telling me to put it to death, but why should I put it to death?
Yeah.
And so have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, or evil desires. And that's kind of what we want to talk about. Sexual purity isn't just the physical act of having sex or not having sex. It also comes, like, sexual purity starts in your mind. It starts in your heart, like protecting what you're watching, protecting what you're reading. I'm a reader. I'm an avid book reader. I read a lot. And there are a lot of spicy scenes in books and spicy scenes in movies and in TV shows. And so we have made a conscious decision that we don't watch those things. We fast forward, we look away, we might have a conversation instead, like whatever it takes to kind of keep our minds pure. And even married, like that's a caveat, like even married, we do these things because being married doesn't necessarily erase sexual impurity. You can still be sexually impure in your marriage. And so, which pornography, things like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, this whole conversation around like protecting your heart and your mind. So what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you allowing to fill your heart and your mind that then starts that hunger and that desire for it to become a physical act, right? It's so important to protect your heart and protect your mind.
Yeah. And, it kind of reminds me of like, say you have, a river and a dam, and it's blocking the water from flowing, and what that dam is, it's meant to keep things from coming through. And when we protect our hearts and our minds, we want to keep those negative things from coming through. And a lot of times, if you're not actively keeping up with yourself or keeping yourself in the Word or connecting with God, over time, that dam might start to weaken, or your defense might get a little weaker, and you start letting things through without you even realizing.
It's really good.
And then eventually the dam breaks, and there's no stopping what you let into your heart and your mind, and it just you just go down that slope of like you're in a spiral now.
Yeah.
And so
it's a really good analogy.
It's about keeping up with your own health, physically, mentally, spiritually, so that you constantly are battling against these things that are trying to come in.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. I mean, it's so true. Like one thing can set off the spiral. Yeah. And if you're not careful to protect your heart and your mind, you could go there so fast. Yeah. And it is a really slippery slope. Like we give, there's the famous saying of like, give the devil an inch and he'll run a mile, right? Give him an inch. Watch that spicy scene in that movie or that TV show. Watch or read that spicy scene in that TV show. Look at that billboard a little too long. We live in Las Vegas, right? So like there's billboards everywhere, but like look at that billboard a little bit too long, and you're giving the enemy space to run rampant in your life. Like you're allowing that. That's a choice that you make. It's a conscious choice. And so protecting your heart, protecting your mind, Philippians 4:8 says, think on things that are good. And what's good? Pure is in that. Pure is it within the things of Philippians 4:8. Like
we're called to renew our minds.
Yeah.
And that's a daily choice you have to make, die to yourself and, renew your minds so that you can go throughout your day with the defense that you need to not feel like you're going to be pulled into a trap.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Why don't we share a little bit of our stories with sexual purity? I touched on it at the top when we introed, but so for me, I remained sexually pure till we got married. And that doesn't, I don't want it to sound like I was the perfect person in this. Like there were struggles, there were temptations, there were times I gave in to temptations, but the actual act of sex was reserved for me for marriage. And I want to talk about the benefits of that for a second. I can stand confident in I only have had one partner, and I'm grateful for that story. I am incredibly grateful. I know that that's not a common thing. Yeah. And so benefits of that are I have had my mind has been pure in I don't have anything to compare you to. I don't have anything to compare our intimate relationship to. And so the other benefits are I wasn't, coming up against feelings of shame and guilt. And that's not to say that if you have had sex or you are sexually impure, like I'm not sitting here shaming that. I'm sitting here being honest of these are the benefits. Like you'll hear his story in a second. We're on opposite sides of the spectrum here. And these are the benefits that I experienced. I, didn't have those feelings. And I also didn't have any soul ties, which is a really real thing. I didn't have any soul ties. Yeah. And so, that's my story.
Yeah. And so mine's a little obviously different, like she mentioned. So I can't remember if I was 18 or 19. It was right around when I turned 19. So could either be one or the other. But I was a freshman in college. I was hanging around the wrong crowd of people, going to parties, all these different things. And one thing led to another. And I lost my virginity at that age. And so it's something looking back that I would definitely, wish I could have chosen things differently and kind of not made certain choices that I made back then. But, here's the thing. If you made mistakes, God can still redeem you through those mistakes. And don't think that if you did already, have sex or you already have made mistakes that God does not love you or he doesn't want to see you walk into your calling. That does not disqualify you. It does not disqualify you from finding the right partner in marriage. It's something we all, in different ways, we all struggle with different things, some more than others. And we have to realize that through that, we have to believe and trust that God wants what's best for us. And we can't think that we know what's best for ourselves. Yeah. And that's what I did. I allowed myself to get in the way and my own desires. But I want to touch on something a little bit more that you had kind of mentioned. Yeah. The idea of saving sex till marriage, but there's also other things that you shouldn't be doing before you get married. And
that's kind of why I said like with sexual purity, it's not just the actual act of sex, it's all the things. And so I was not sexually pure in all those other things. And so there's so much more. And so we could go into all of the other things prior to actually doing the actual act, but you guys know what those are. And so is there a specific one that you want to touch on?
Not specific, no. I just think if you think like or struggle with any type of physicalness with someone else, then it should not be a part of your relationship. Like that's not like, if you think like, will this be too much? You've already gone too far probably. Yeah. And so it's never too late to stop and kind of take a step back and allow God to work within your heart and allow God to renew your heart to the point where you are back at a place where he wants you to be. Even though you did make mistakes, you step back into where God has called you to be in that sexual pureness and saving that for your marriage partner. Yeah.
I want to touch on sexual purity, not with another person, but even with yourself. Yeah. And so I'm talking about pornography. I'm talking about masturbation. Yeah. So yes, we're talking about those things because it's important. It falls under sexual purity. Absolutely. And so, let's talk about that.
Yeah. And I'll even say, that's something that I struggled with when I was younger as well. After I gave in to, sex and losing my virginity, pornography creeped into my life. And so for years, that was something that I had to struggle with and I had to walk through. And it's not something that you should be doing alone. And that's something that the enemy wants you to think, like you can't share this with someone else because you're going to look like a fool or you're going to make things worse with people in your relationships. He wants to make you think that no one should know what you're doing. No one should see what you're doing. And isolate you from people, isolate you from God. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. Yeah. God sees what you're doing. He knows what you're doing. He sees your heart. And more than anything, he wants you to bring things to him so that he can walk you through it. Yeah. And so that's really good. If that's something you struggle with, if that's something that you are constantly being tempted with, include people in your life that will hold you accountable,
Yeah.
that will bring you back to a place where it's not something that you're ashamed of, but it's something that you're becoming victorious over. And it's something that you feel like you have overcome because of the help that you have around you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. And with pornography too, I think we get in our heads that it is just watching a video online.
Yeah.
And we just had this conversation at our church recently.
Yeah.
We did like a panel and we were interviewed about this. It's something that we're both pretty passionate about. Like I can go back to, again, keeping your mind pure sexually is guarding what you're watching and what you're reading. And that goes for pornography. Like
Yeah.
when you're reading a book or you're watching a scene on TV, whether that's through a movie or show, when you're watching it or you're reading it, that is pornography as well. And it's a form of it. And it's the entry level, right? It's the entry level the enemy likes to use. Give him an inch and he'll run a mile.
Yeah.
You see that, now you want more.
Yeah.
Right? And it could lead you down that slippery slope that we've been talking about with sexual purity and the damn wall breaking and all that stuff. And so I think it's really important to understand that pornography, we live in a culture today where pornography is no longer just on the web browser.
Yeah, on a computer.
Yeah, it's not just on a computer. It is literally in front of you all the time. You could be scrolling on TikTok. You could be scrolling on Instagram. You could be watching a movie. You could be reading a book. You could be driving down the highway and see a billboard. Like pornography is around us at all times. And if we are not cautious and we are not careful to protect our minds and our hearts, we are allowing the enemy to have an inch where he can run a mile. And God does not want that for us.
Yeah.
God wants us to remain sexually pure. And again, this isn't to put this like, I don't know how to say it, but it's not to put this expectation of like, you can't accomplish that because we live in a world where it's in front of you. We're not saying to like, you know, you're going to see it is what I'm trying to get at. You're going to see it. So then what do you do with what you see? What do you see? What do you do with what you read when you have to guard your mind?
Yeah.
And so, you know, some of the things that we've done is I just skip over the spicy scenes in a book, or we fast forward through the things on TV. And if we see a billboard, we live in Las Vegas, right? So like if we see a billboard with something that's inappropriate on it, like just don't look at it. Like, yes, your eyes there, but you've always said something like it's one thing to look, it's another to wander. Is that what you've said? You said something similar. Or another to linger. It's one thing to look, it's another to linger. Where you can look, but if you're letting your eye linger, that's where you start to step into the temptation now becoming even stronger.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of the story of Jesus when he was tempted by the devil. You know, there were multiple temptations that Jesus faced. And what's interesting is, you know, you look at the temptations that Jesus offered, or that Satan offered to Jesus. You know, you've been out in the wilderness, you're probably hungry, turn these rocks into bread.
Yeah.
And Jesus said no. But you go later on in Jesus' ministry, Jesus takes bread and multiplies it. Jesus was tempted to rule over all this land. Jesus dies on the cross later and proves that he's the king.
Wow, yeah.
And so, like, there's these things. What it goes back to is the motive behind what you're doing. So Jesus was being tempted to provide for his own physical needs. But when he provided those miracles for people, it was for the kingdom.
Yeah.
It was for their eternal needs. And so it goes back to, what is your motive in when you're being tempted and what you're doing? Are you is this something that you're doing for your own physical pleasure?
Yeah.
You know, and then realize that that's not something that you need then.
Yeah.
If it's something to please yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we all have needs, but God will provide certain needs for us.
Yeah.
And so we have to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Believe that when the time is right, you know, if we still have a need, it will be provided for. We don't have to seek ourselves and go down those paths that are going to lead to even worse things for us.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, to wrap this up, let's just encourage those that are watching or listening and just around this topic. And so if I'll encourage the ones that might be similar to my story, where it's like, you are remaining sexually pure. You've been tempted. You've messed up a little bit, but you are holding on to the actual act of sex, and you are doing all the things to protect your mind. Like, keep going. And I would say the one thing that I lacked severely, that would have even helped protect me even further, was accountability. I didn't invite anybody into it. I didn't say like, hey, this is what I want. This is my boundaries around sexual purity. Will you help me? And I wish I would have done that. So if you're able to, find community that you can bring into keeping you accountable with your purity.
Yeah. And for anyone that has taken those steps too far, you feel like you've messed up too much and there's no coming back. I will say this, you're never too far gone out of God's love. No matter what you think you've done, no matter how far you've gone or messed up, God still loves you, and he still wants you to come back into his love and grace. Yeah. And so you have to be able to recognize that and step into that yourself. And then within that, you also need community. Yeah. You need to surround yourself with people that are going to keep you accountable and help you overcome. It's not going to be easy. I'll tell you that there's no easy path when it comes to overcoming sin in the world. It's all around us. And so surround yourself with the right people that are going to protect you, that are going to pray for you and keep you accountable to not stepping back into the things that the world has for you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I'm sure we'll continue this conversation even more as we go about the show. This is definitely something that needs to be talked about even more and in different facets and in different ways. So if you guys have any questions at all, you can always reach out to us on Instagram at The Firebrand Show. We'd love to talk with you and just help you find resources that can guide you in your journey and in your faith. And so, yeah, reach out, ask us questions. And if we miss something that maybe you have a question about, we'd love to know so that we can talk about it and we can have a conversation around it. So, yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to have a little fun now. We have a simple game, 20 words or less.
Okay.
And so I have the words here on my phone. You have 20 clues to get these 8 words.
8 words.
8 words, 20 words or less from me.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so very simple.
Do I have a category?
Nope.
No theme?
It could be anything.
This is anything?
Anything.
Oh my gosh. We all know how I am. If you've watched the Whisper Challenge, you know how good I am at these things.
All right.
I apologize now.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
First clue. Batter.
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 Pancakes.
Okay.
That's not it.
No. Press.
Waffle.
Yes. All right.
Got it.
All right.
Okay, I was like, is he talking about baseball batter?
Next one.
Okay.
Forky.
Toy Story.
No.
He is from Toy Story. That's, I guess, 2 words, but.
Worth.
Trash.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Your worth is not trash. Okay, let's just put that out there. Your worth is not trash.
All right, so we got 2.
Just has a problem.
In 4 words, we're doing good. All right, number 3. I don't know if this is 2 words. So I'm just going to say it. High end.
High end, that's hyphenated.
Is it?
Yeah.
So it's 1 word. Okay.
I think. I don't
high
know.
end.
I made that.
We'll go with it. 1 word.
High end.
It is not 1 word for this game. High end.
Luxury.
Yes.
No way.
Good job.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
I actually do really good at this one. This is better than Whisper Challenge.
All right, next one. I'm just going to do 2 words.
No.
Yeah, I need to.
Oh my gosh.
It's just going to make it easier.
You're just going to use your 2 words now. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
Water car.
A boat.
Yes.
That basically, these are way too easy.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, next one. This is number 5. Gone Girl.
These are 2 words. Stop
and I'm using
it.
2 words. You're allowed to.
This is not the game.
Yes.
Vanish.
No.
Okay. Disappear. Sorry. Is it disappear?
Yes, but you have to wait for me to
That would be my next word. You basically gave me 2. It's fine.
All right, all right. This is our 6th one. You ready?
Okay. 1 word, Billy.
Scraps.
Scraps. Food?
Floor.
Scraps. Floor.
Mm-hmm.
Dog?
No. All right, hold on. Small.
I am so
You were
stumped.
close.
Scraps. Floor. You said scraps floor. Small.
Yes.
So scraps floor small.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no idea on that one.
All right.
Food?
No, let's go.
No. Floor, small, scrap.
Yes.
Floor, small,
Put
scrap.
them all together. You got
Floor,
it.
small, scrap.
What is that?
Floor, small, scrap.
No.
Is it like, are you telling me to put the word together?
No, but the clues together.
Floor.
To make one clue.
Small. Scrap.
Yes. Come on.
Floor. Small. Scrap.
All right, let's come back to it.
Do we have another word
We
still?
have one more word.
Okay.
Swoosh.
Basketball. Sorry. Net.
No.
Nike! Nike! It's on your hat.
Yes.
Nike. Okay.
That was not a, that's a clue. That's fine.
Okay, so
All right, we need to come back to this other word.
this word, I'm going to probably laugh so hard at the fact that I got. Okay.
All right, so scrap.
Uh-huh.
Floor.
Uh-huh.
Small.
Okay.
Break.
Wrestling.
No.
Oh. I don't know.
I'm running out of words.
How many do we have?
I think that was 17.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right.
Give me one more. If I don't get it, I don't get it. It's okay.
I'm just trying to give you words that it ties all together. You just got to find that one word.
I know.
Okay.
I'm trying to track.
I mean, food.
Okay. Food.
Yes.
Floor. Scrap.
Scraps.
Scraps. What was it on?
Small.
Small. Floor.
I think I said another one.
Food. I'm losing it at this point. I have no idea. I give up. What is this one?
No.
I
I think
give
I
up.
have 2 more clues.
Okay,
So let's
then
keep going.
try.
All right.
I don't know where you're going.
Ratatouille.
Huh?
Ratatouille.
Rat. He's a rat.
Yes, he is. Keep going.
A mouse? Oh my gosh, stop getting disappointed. Where are you going?
Think of the other clues I gave you.
I have no idea.
I think I have one more clue.
All right, go.
So if I do, this is it, hopefully. I kept track. Eat.
You still lost me.
Think of all of the ones I gave you. Just think of the last 2.
Ratatouille and eat?
Yeah.
A rat.
He
A
eats
mouse.
rat. He eats mouse.
I don't know. I don't know. What is it? Tell me.
Crumb.
Crumb?
Yes.
I would not. Okay. No, I would not have gotten that. But I see it now. Okay. Wow, that was a hard one.
Man.
We still won.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't win. We didn't win. We didn't win. We didn't win.
That was a good guess.
That was
a good
okay.
try, I should
Yeah.
say.
It was a great guess. Whatever.
You started out so strong,
I did.
and then something
Crumb.
happened.
I don't know why that one just, like, the word didn't even come close to being in my mind. Not even close. We just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for watching The Firebrand Show.
Yeah, and for continuing to support us. And there's a few ways that you can do that simply by praying for The Firebrand Show. You can follow along and watch The Firebrand Show, and then you can also give towards The Firebrand Show.
That's right. And if you want to learn how you can partner with us and invest in the next generation, just go to ctnonline.com/Firebrand.
Yeah, you can also follow us on all social media platforms at The Firebrand Show, and just search The Firebrand Show on YouTube.